Welcome to 2Cents FC. I'm your host, Amobi Okugo, with my guy, L. Each week, we'll be discussing topics from around the soccer world and giving you our unfiltered thoughts and opinions. This week, we're joined by my buddy, one of my best friends in the game, Ray Gaddis. I hope you guys are ready because we got a lot to unpack. This week, we'll be reflecting on the 2020 soccer season during COVID, Roc Nation making moves in the soccer space, and more American investment in European clubs. But first and foremost, Ray, thank you for joining us. I know it's off season for you. You've had a hell of a season, both on and off the field. How you doing?
Man, I'm just excited to be here. I appreciate you and L, having me on 2 Cents, some shameless plugs off the jump, Shout out to football athletes as y'all can see them work.
Good looks.
Also JBL, J-Lad for hooking up my podcast stuff. So, everything's good. Shout out to LBF in Philly and the Corval brand. That's also.
Nah, respect, man. That's love. So
For sure.
So the question we ask every guest that comes on the show, right off the bat, is when did you fall in love with soccer?
Man, I was 3 years old, man. My dad, he just recently started doing some transferring VHSs to like digital.
Mm-hmm.
He got me on there, man, saying I was gonna be a professional soccer player, All-American. Obviously, the team I played for wasn't even out yet, Philadelphia Union. But man, when I was 3-4 years old, man, I played at this league called the Tabernacle. But once I seen the ball and I kicked, I could move, I was with it. So.
No, so talk about that because obviously you from Indiana. That's like basketball town, basketball country. Being African American, what's it like? How were you able to get into it? How were you exposed to soccer?
It really is due to my parents. For example, everybody's talking about LeVar Ball. I'm going to shout out my dad too because he was very present and he still is, man. My mom and my dad, 30 plus years of marriage, but they really exposed me to a lot of different sports and they let me choose. Although Indianapolis is a basketball state or a city, Indiana is a basketball state with the likes of Larry Bird. I went to high school with Eric Gordon, who's on the Rockets. He was a grade above me. Obviously Jeff Teague, Mike Conley, all these guys are from the greater Indianapolis area. So,
Right.
I mean, for me, it was just a more or less my parents let me do what I wanted to do, not fit into the norm of, what I saw around me.
No, respect. And talk about that. You mentioned a bunch of basketball players. What I like about you and what I like about like the Indiana community is like y'all all keep in close contact with each other. Like every time we was on the road, you had some athlete that was connecting with you or, you had to give them tickets to a game. Talk about your connection with Beasley and like what he's doing for Fort Wayne. I know that's close to you. It's not directly in your city, but talk about that community that you've been able to build with fellow athletes.
I mean, I just think it's remarkable. That's something that's really good. Self-empowerment is real big in Indianapolis and in Indiana. When you see one of your own make it, you support them, and then you add to, foundational piece. Everything goes hand in hand. When you can lend a helping hand, it furthers and pushes, like you were talking about DeMarcus Beasley with the newly team that just came into USL in Fort Wayne. Me and him have had various conversations. I'm extremely proud of him. But for me, I said the thing that I'm doing right now with DeMarcus is really picking his brain, how to get into that space and what made him drive or want to make sure that soccer was relevant and prevalent even in Fort Wayne. And he's just teaching me different investment tools, different people to reach out to. He's teaching me how to be savvy in spaces because a lot of time when you're a professional athlete, you don't really think about that. But I've been blessed to have people like, behind the scenes or who are a little bit older or people who are already doing business ventures outside of soccer.
Yeah.
Just give me, infinite knowledge about these type of things.
No, respect. And, you mentioned supporters. You just won Supporter Shield with Philly. First to ever do it. You was the longest servant. I think you beat all the records, right? You beat BC in all the records. You got the only record you're missing is like goals and assists, but who cares about that? You're a defender. So talk about winning that first and foremost. After all the trials and tribulations from previous Open Cups and playoffs and stuff like that.
I mean, you were a former teammate of mine, and you know what we've been through, having been in the big game so many times, and just unfortunate with the result, but finally doing it in my ninth year to actually lift some silverware. I know the fans was extremely happy, but it was like it was a weight off the club's shoulders, but also it gave us a taste that the union has now really started to put their stamp on things, or our style of play, the culture, more of an identity. And I think that's a big testament to Coach Curtin, who's a Philly dude through and through, but also some of the additional pieces that they added there, and just having been there as a veteran player now, just really letting them know what Philly all about. If you don't play hard in Philly, they're gonna boo you. If you
Oh, that's crazy. Facts.
you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear them. So I think that a lot of the young players, they really got that embedded in their mind. Like, yo, I ain't trying to get booed. Like, I'm trying to get out here and show up and show out. And I think that's the mentality now. But at the same time, man, it was exciting for Philly, especially in 2020 with everything going on.
Yeah.
There's pandemics going on. There's COVID-19, and then there's the form of racism, obviously. People forget about that pandemic. Everything that we've endured this year, I think it brought a sense of just like joy, in the moment, with everything going on. So it brought peace and joy to the city.
No, respect. And I think like this was the perfect year for you guys to win it because like everything you preached about, being Philly tough, having that union, it speaks to, you know, the year that everyone's been through. And, you guys showed out in tremendous ways. So talk about it, going through those first couple years and then now like a formidable club. People were making fun of us, and then now it's like Philly's the model that everyone has to follow. Jim Curtin, Chris Albright, the other staff, they've been able to turn it around, but the players as well. And you are one of the forefront members in doing that.
I mean, it's like anything, you got to pay your dues sometimes. You're not just going to come in and light it up. Obviously, we always had good pieces at the Philadelphia Union, but it was just putting it all together. And I
Mm-hmm.
just think, like, the mentality has changed a lot. And, give good testament to Richie Graham, who's built
All
this
right.
academy. And now you're starting to see, like the likes of Dortmund, who's an academy team who brings up a lot of people through the ranks. You see that implemented kind of here on the stateside. And, you're watching these U.S. owners, you're watching these U.S. coaches really try to a lot of different mechanisms go into place and people don't know about. Like, sometimes it's about spending, and you got to figure out how you can find quality players within your organization. And for us, our model has just simply been through the academy. We got a great young man coming up by Mark McKenzie, who's come through the academy, and obviously we sold Brendan Arrington this season, and both of them in the national camp right now. And I'm just fortunate to know, like, that's the way we're going, but we have quality in our academy.
No, respect. Yeah, Richard Graham, he's changed the game completely, and he opened up his fund. So if he's listening and he wants to, talk to us about some things, our line is open. But more importantly, I didn't even know Mark McKenzie was not left-footed, and he's been playing left center back the whole time. Like, dude can ball. Like, I like his game, and then obviously you got Aronson, who's also his little brother's supposed to be nice too. You all got a good thing going out there.
No, for sure, man. Mark McKenzie, people don't know. I say, like you touched on it. I think that's what's great about him, and that's only gonna raise his stock. He's a center back that had 3 goals, 3 assists, or 2 goals, 3 assists. He made MLS's back all tournament team. He made MLS's all team of the year. Yeah, this dude is amazing, man, and he's somebody to look out for on the radar. And we got another young cat, Anthony Fontana, coming up. We call them the 302 boys. These guys are down from Delaware, man. They got some juice in them. So,
Respect, respect. You are you serving as their agent too?
hey,
I'm gonna
man.
have to call you. So talk about the quote. Good things happen in Philadelphia. You said that. As you like post mic drop after the celebration. Like talk about that. After everything that's gone on this year, what that meant. Like, did you have that planned, or like it came to you, from the Lord? Like, how did it all come about?
I mean, I think it's a tale of two stories. Why I said it, to be truthful, after so long, who the fans have seen seen what the results have been, and finally to deliver. It was like, yeah. But then there were also some comments made about the Philadelphians, made publicly by somebody who's of importance about the city. So it was a counter as well. You know, we if you can't read between the lines, this person's the chief of the United States. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Outgoing chief.
outgoing. Yeah, correction. And it was more of a remark back to him in a civil way too. You know, you can't take away my liberties and freedoms and my freedom of speech, as we have seen many people exercise theirs. So that was my opportunity, and I did it in a peaceful manner because you know, always there's always sometimes a stigmatization about African American people, or we don't know how to conduct ourselves. But you know, it was a play on words too. It was twofold meaning, you know, at the
Yeah.
time. But it was like it came to me at the time, and I was just like, you know what, we gonna say this too. And the people were receptive of it because I mean everybody sees what's going on just in society in general. But like I said, good things happen on the football field too, the pitch.
Nah, respect. And that's why I rock with you heavy because you always thinking 2 steps ahead of the game, always, moving and be like, what's Ray up to? How's he? No, you're never going to know, but it really is important. But you talked about the good things that happened in Philadelphia. You talked about the ways, your team stepped up, not only on the field, but off the field. Let's unpack that because it's been a crazy year. You guys had to go the MLS bubble. Y'all was in Florida. It was during the time, around a lot of the social injustice was at its highest moment. Talk about that first game back in the bubble when you guys all decided to come together, and put action behind your words. You guys did a number of things, not only catch all of ESPN off guard with what you guys did before the opening game, but also with addressing some of the names. I know we talked offline about it, but if you would like to divulge in the process behind that.
First I'm gonna start with the Black Players for Change. You know, this is the first time. You know, I feel like in uh, any sport, a collective of players, not just like one or two players, but our entirety of our whole league, including coaches, and including it was crazy because like kit guys, whether they were the athletic trainers, whether they were the GMs, they were like, yo, we want to be a part of this. You know, this is something that's historic. It had kind of caught wind, and shout out to Justin Morrow and uh, Ike Opara, CJ Sapong, Bill Hamid. I can go on about the guys within the group, Quincy,
Yeah.
Why, uh, Jeremy and Bovasi. I can go on Jalil Alibaba, but for us to come 100 deep and more, to send a statement that, we were one voice and
Yeah.
we are voicing our concern to basically MLS, but also the soccer community where various things happen also within this realm, and we were addressing our concern about what we were seeing in society. And it was just very, very, it was something that I always remember, but it was like everybody was quiet, but at the same time, you could feel the aura that this was of importance more than anything, any soccer game, any conversation that was going on, and they had to really recognize that their counterparts, all the brothers in the league, although they play with us every day, we go through things that other people don't go through. I was telling
Tell it.
to
Tell it. Yep. That's fact.
our teammates, like, after games, these games get let out at 9 o'clock. I got to worry about making it home. And we had, and now I'm transitioning to the Philadelphia Union. We had a healthy dialogue where our coaching staff and our organization set it up where players were able to express their different backgrounds and their different thinking about things. And we were letting them know, especially some of the Black players on the team, that, your reality is not our reality. Let's talk about even like being a technical director or a GM. There's only two in the league. Let's talk about being a head coach. A lot of opportunities sometimes don't present themselves as easy as it does for a different demographic. I'm not a person of excuses, but it's the reality because all this data has been put together about how come especially African Americans or people of color, brown or black, are in these type of positions. But just letting them know, just like I've been pulled over before, without cause. And my teammates were like, really? Some of them who don't look like me. And I was like, yeah, I'm simply traveling, simply just coming to and go. for without cause. And they were just like able to hear us. I think that's what's helped us in our success this year too, with the Philadelphia Union, because people were able to break down cross-cultural barriers. People were able to have an open mind and open ears, more importantly, to hear what we had to say, especially on our team. And they were like, you know what? This is my team. I need to stick up for them too, because, in my opinion, nothing's going to get moved until other demographics really start to speak out about this, really start to put things in place to help protect us, whether it's laws and bills as well. Because even at the Senate, the local level, the governors, the mayors, these people don't look like us. So we're not in these various spaces to help change laws. But I think that especially in the soccer space, we really changed the spectrum. The whole tidbit with ESPN, this was something where Mark McKenzie, Warren Herval, myself, we came together. Mark McKenzie actually came up with this bit, one name too many, because MLS had proposed that we write something on these white strips.
Uh-huh.
And when he came up with that, we was like, yo, that's real, because we started to do our homework. And then we had various people on our legal team. We had to get a legal team involved, where we made each player do their homework about the victims, about the case, because we didn't want misrepresentation, because, at the same time, everybody's not a law-abiding citizen. And some people were just actually doing things, unprecedented things to get them in certain situations, because I always have to tell both sides of the story. But what we end up doing is we ended up selecting people who had lost their lives to police brutality. And we felt that in the wake of Jacob Blake, in the wake of, George Floyd, this is something that's been going on even when we were younger,
Mm-hmm.
with Trayvon Martin, I can go on and on and on, but we just felt like, instead of representing our names, this was the opportunity to represent those people, because oftentimes, for me, what came to me and our voice to the team, these names get lost in the shuffle and they get forgotten about because somebody else comes up. But, we wanted to make sure that their name still rang out and still was echoed, because some of these families are still grieving. We actually got great
Right.
responses from a lot of the families saying what you did kept my son or my daughter or my child still in the mix, and we're still fighting for justice for this. But by you doing this, it really gave us new life. It really gave us the means to continue to press on. That really meant so much to me, that somebody was thinking about them, that they weren't forgotten about. And that's I had to write, personal messages to some of the families, because sometimes people were like, we don't know how this is going to be received. And I said, nah, man, for me being Black, African American, this is to, some people say there's no such thing as a voice for the voiceless. And I wrote this article for Howler, and that was what it was titled. When you're dead, you don't have no voice. So that was the sense of really echoing and demonstrating in a way, hey, this is getting out of control. It's been out of control. And voicing our concern on the platform given to us by the Lord. But it really meant a lot, because it was a collective group of people from 13 different countries, different creeds, different shapes, different colors, and it wasn't just the Black players. So then really everybody was talking about it. I can't read German. I can't read, various languages.
Yeah.
People are talking about it. It was in tabloids all over the world, what we did, and people are taking notice. So the message really rang out on a greater scale than what we ever thought it would.
No, that's amazing stuff, and it just speaks to the moment of people coming together. When you make a fist and come together, it's easier than people like coming in one by one, doing everything individual. So, for you guys to use your platform, sports, as a way to, like you said, get the voiceless heard. Like when I saw it, I was like, I definitely know Ray, Warren. I didn't know Mark. That boy's smart. Y'all came together and led that initiative. So it was really amazing, because you could tell when it was live, people was like, "Wait, huh? Whose name is that? Wait, hold up. Now I got to go on Google." What? It was really amazing for you guys to do that, and that's not that, like, that wasn't just, it wasn't a one off. You guys continued to push, and you guys are one of the few teams that backed up your words. Not only with that initiative, but you guys turned. I don't even know the name of your guys' park now. Subaru. I'm just gonna keep calling it PPL. But you guys turned it into a polling place. So talk about that. I know you guys had to jump over some hoops for that.
Yeah, one thing, with the assistance of a young lady, Angela LaChica, she's out on the West Coast. She really assisted me, LaChica Sports, look her up, but she really helped me navigate a lot of different things with the player coalition, especially in the NFL. Even though we're in the Black Players for Change at MLS, but reaching out to various people in different spaces and high spaces, my intent was to take a letter to our ownership to open up a space. With COVID shut down, like we were talking about, always thinking in advance, there was ample parking at these stadiums since fans haven't been there. The kiosk or the open space for the stadium, there's more than enough voting stations to go around where it's spaced out with social distancing. You got to cover your bases or your side on every basis. And Pennsylvania was a swing state, and to use our stadium, something that's so visible in the community, something that's so large as Seabrew Park, just with the backing of Alejandro Bedoya getting behind it, Carson Wentz getting behind it, McClutch from the Phillies, these guys plus legislation, it held a little bit more weight when submitting a letter to try to get the county to open up the stadium, and they did, and it was a safe place to vote. And so many people said how seamless it was. It was a great turnout. And, I just thank the Lord for the wisdom and for him to open up so many doors, man, because, obviously there was a counter that, this shouldn't be a valid place to vote by a certain party to try to block it. But, God is smarter than we are. This polling place it was able for everybody to vote. So it was bipartisan. Just a certain demographic voted there more than other people, and people who were supporting one candidate over the other just so happened to vote more there. So the judge ruled in our favor, and he really couldn't say anything because we weren't lobbying for a particular party, which was strategic. We were just merely opening up the stadium, and most stadiums are in urban areas. I mean, you talk about finances and everything. Owners are smart too, where they can get the land cheap. They're gonna build a stadium. Who would have thought forehand, that it would be in a black community at this time. So
No, respect. And you guys were not, if not one of the only team in MLS that did that, correct?
maybe LAFC.
Okay.
They got Magic Johnson as the owner. LeBron's out there. He's pushing weight. I know the Dodgers stadium opened up as well, but that's what LAFC is about. It's about a collective, a group of people. So I believe us, LAFC. I don't know if Houston finalized there, but those were the only two teams. But maybe LAFC.
Yeah, so I mean, it just speaks to, you guys going above and beyond, and not just, and no disrespect to any other team that didn't do it, but beyond wearing a shirt. So that's what I'm about, people providing solutions, people providing action. And like you guys said, it was open for everyone. It wasn't just a particular, like you can only vote here if you come into Subaru Park to vote. It was open for everyone, giving people that space to have their voices heard. It's just really important. And I'm excited to see your guys' continued efforts for, Black Players for Change and all the other things that you got in the works, man. It's gonna be amazing. Mention the name of the lady that helped you again.
Angela Chica.
All right, we're gonna have to have that in the show notes for sure, for sure.
Yeah, and then shout out to our owners too, man, because they were very understanding. People don't notice, but Kevin Durant too is a minority owner now. But I ain't gonna drop too many owners' names on here, but our owners did a great job, man, and just having like I said, an open ear and really seeing the importance of this too. The one I would really drop is Jay Sugarman. He's been there since I've been
Yeah,
majority owner. Bright dude, but he understood everything that was going on, and he was very supportive in all the efforts through and through. But with Kevin Durant being an additional owner now on the club, I mean, it holds a lot of weight too, and it gives a lot of people aspirations that they can be owners. We'll get into another segment a little bit later about what people are doing in different spaces, but let's talk about Russell Wilson, Seattle's owner. Let's talk about James Harden, Houston's owner. Let's talk about Kevin Durant now, our owner of Philadelphia Union. Uh,
uh,
And I can go on. It's been a couple of people that's been trying to buy into teams now. Shaquille O'Neal's Sacramento now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you look at these cats, man. You're like, yo, with the right movement, you can be here too.
So you trying to join our fund, 2 Cents Sports Fund? We trying to get a team too out here, man.
Hey, man, let's chop it up after this.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Your nickname is Preacher Ray. I feel like I'm the one that gave it to you. I'm gonna come out and say it. When we used to do the pregame speeches, we used to do we had a really crazy routine, and then then you led us in prayer, and I just started calling you Preacher Ray. I'm sure someone's called you before, but I'm claiming it. I put the patent on it. That's them. How has your faith played a role in your career and your life? Because I know it's a big in your everyday.
For me, I'm glad you brought this up, man. It's really kept me grounded. Sometimes, when people can get into various spaces, they kind of lose themselves and they try to be something that they're not. But the Lord has always humbled me. I can never forget the Lord, starting off in Philadelphia and where he's brought me from a mighty long way. Like you said, the longest tenured player. It's a scripture in Psalm 118, verse 22. The stone which the builders refuse has become the headstone of the corner. And it's talking about Jesus Christ, but it's been a foundational piece. I feel like I've been a foundational piece, not because of my talents, but because merely the Lord allowed me to be stable and anchored here and cemented. But, I think it's gone a long way because now we have a lead wide. We have what's called MLS Connect, which is a lead wide chapel. So we get on every Tuesday at the beginning of the month, and you should see in Spanish. You should see people who speak Portuguese, who speak various languages across the league. There are a lot of people. Sometimes they're scared to profess their faith, but now we create this safe space where it's a lot of dudes actually joining on. They need a pick me up from the Lord. So Bible study, all the chaplains across the league. When I first came in the league, it was only like Columbus, Kansas City that had chaplains. Now every team has them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud about creating that organization, MLS Connect. But it's been a vital part. You see so many of my teammates now pregame. It was only a couple of us. It's almost 10 to 12 guys. Even at the MLS back tournament, other teams are coming to pray. You see it a lot in NFL.
After the game when they come in, right?
Right. And now after every game, cats know, when we play in Philly, we know we getting a prayer, whether it's FC Cincinnati, whether it's New England, whether it's LAFC, guys know, okay, we're going to bring it together, and I can be in a safe space without maybe hearing my coach, when it's a collective group of dudes, everybody feels a lot comfortable. But the Lord has blessed me so much, man, to be the leader in minutes, the leader in starts, leader in appearances. I just can't thank him enough. Like I said, just really, really giving me stability and being in one market my whole career too, man. A lot of cats bounce around, and sometimes you do it for the betterment. You get a new contract, you move on. But I just thank the Lord, man. He's been so good to me.
No, respect, yeah, man. Because even moments when they was trying to shift out and mess with you, you play left back, you play right back. Oh, y'all want to swim here? I'll play left back again. And you stay true, and you're getting rewarded for it. So I'll be there for your statue ceremony. You just make sure I get the invite.
You got it, man.
And then what's great about the MLS Connect is that it's open to all faiths. You guys are open to anyone and everyone. Give them that safe space to, share their hearts, share their moment, and profess their faith. I think it's important. From 2010 when you came in, it wasn't like that, and then now, it's a lot better.
For sure, and it's even start to trickle down to USL, where I know our USL team, even though that they left the USL now, but teams are saying, hey, we want to meet too. So it's been good, man. God is good, man.
Yeah. So changing segue in a little bit. I know you get this question a lot, even though you haven't scored, but when you do score, you're gonna get this. What does Dupe mean? And Elle tried to ask me because I used to play for Philly. I'm like, that was a long time ago. You gotta ask the veteran. So what's it mean?
Dupe really came from I know that some of the hockey team, the Flyers use it as well, but it's almost like the word John. If you're from Philly, it can be substituted for a lot of things. It's literally any and everything. It's like you're excited, it's like you're overjoyed, It's more of a celebration where that's how I put it. When you hear Dupe, you winning. Something just great just happened. That's the easiest way to put it. So that's basically what Dupe is, a summary of what Dupe is.
Did you just compare Dupe to John? Like, yo, that John crazy.
Yeah, man.
Respect.
So it's like it's more of an expression then, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, man, we just duped on Red Bull. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you see people try to use it in a sense, that's what they try to do, but it's more of I guess a noun, you know what I mean? So that's how they try to do, or adverb, But yeah, I try to mix it too, because that's like one of the questions now on like trivia, like what does John mean, especially when new players come to the team. So
that's hilarious. Yes, yeah, that's the best description you could put it. I mean, I know it came from a song in Germany when like the first coach, Peter Nowak, was first with Philly, and then with Philly, Philly culture, they always spin it, and now it's its own John version of Dupe, so
for sure.
That's cool. But Ray, good looks, man. El, what you got?
All right, man. So let's jump into these topics. I know it's been an unusual season for both of you. Ray on the MLS side, Amobi on the USL side, with COVID, start, stops, bubbles, compressed schedules, everything. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a moment to kind of reflect on the season, talk about your experience being in this situation, trying to play during a pandemic. That's something that's not nobody has experienced that, right? So Amobi, I'll start with you from like a USL perspective, like kind of give us your reflection on 2020.
Yeah, it was real interesting. First and foremost, I was just thankful for the staff, the medical staff, trainers, doctors, even the interns that were volunteering their time and their safety to make sure, the performance on the field was, up to par. So, the health was the most important. We had a couple cases on the squad, but no one, was seriously affected. So that was the most important part. But yeah, it was wild. We had a regionalized schedule. We had to follow protocol. It was very unique in the sense of, especially with USL, a lot of teams suffered from a financial standpoint. So how were we able to adjust? Our play on the field was good. It could have been better, but with guys worrying about their families, some of them stayed back. Some of them decided to take the year off. You guys, running extra in the sense of playing more games that they're used to, tearing hamstrings, ankles, muscle injuries. It was tough, but you got through it, and you got to roll with the punches. So blessed, they're still here. Blessed and thankful. So that's really all I have.
For me, I mean, just to piggyback off of what Moby said, it was an interesting season. I mean, I think that your normal routine or schedule was changed. Going in and getting tested. Then after a game, you're getting tested again.
Right? Did y'all do the nose or the throat?
Man, we did a blood, we did a throat, we did a nasal. We did a lot of them because it was just different case by case, especially when there was an outbreak. You go in the MLS's back tournament, you're seeing two teams be disqualified essentially just because of the COVID cases, and them actually being in the same vicinity, or it actually started in there, but not knowing that you even had COVID until you come to Florida. So it's kind of like you don't really know a lot about the virus. You don't really still know how you contract it. You could be anywhere and get it. I tell that to people because I've had relatives who are no longer here who have suffered from COVID. So I'll always stress, wear your protective equipment, wash your hands. You know what I mean? Sanitize your hands. But it's just different, man. It's how you interact with people is different.
Yeah.
The first couple games when you're playing against teammates, the other team, you ain't talking as much. You're keeping your mouth closed. Stuff that you wouldn't think about doing. It's just different. Even like dapping up people, like Moby was saying at the game. We're no dapping up nobody's team. Like, all right, good game. I see you. Like,
hit me offline.
Yeah, and it just everything's different. Even from a youth soccer standpoint, we're watching kids now even having to wear masks in training. It's different wearing a mask everywhere. I think those adjustments. Like what Moby said. Shout out to everybody involved, not just in MLS, but in various sectors who are trying to do the right thing and protect people in these environments, especially in the sports arena. Just because you have so much exposure with still traveling and like Amobi said, it was different being away from your family for almost 40 days. The more we won, the more you were away. I mean, it was like a win-win, but a lose-lose at the same time because you want to win the games as a competitor, but some of the players just had newborn children on our team. It was tough for them, especially some of the spouses, not speaking English, not knowing how to do certain things, and them being the one who was doing a lot of stuff at first. So it just was a different season, man, all together. And then like Moby said, if somebody tested positive, everything was on shutdown. You couldn't do nothing within your team. You couldn't move. I remember, these false negative tests. Somebody may have had it. It was literally like, yo, only time you can come out. When we played, I was telling my parents, it's like yard time. Like that was our yard time. We eat a meal and we back in our room. You know what I mean? It's like I don't trust nobody. It wasn't bad, but that's literally what the comparison was. So.
No, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. We had to do Zoom workouts when we had a couple of cases, and it's like, all right, and y'all want us to play a game now? Like we ain't really been on the field. So, like, how was it like playing with no fans and none of that?
It was all right, man. I think some stadiums need to get better with their synthetic noise. I think I just did my master's degree in integrated marketing communication. The league really found different ways to simulate a real environment as much as possible until certain counties issue, a certain percentage in certain stadiums.
Yeah.
Some of the synthetic noise was all right. Some of it was horrible. It was like kind of annoying, but at the same time, like. If we was playing Seattle, if we was playing in Atlanta, I can hear what I'm saying as in past. Like if I'm talking to y'all, L and Moby, like, yo, what's good? You wouldn't be able to hear me in these stadiums. So
Right.
it was a benefit for some teams. And then, you realize how big the fans are or how much they really do play a part in an instance as well for certain teams. But also at the same time, it was weird. You going out there, not only not playing with fans, but playing at different times that we never played before. You playing a 9 a.m. game.
that's a youth tournament on the weekends.
You playing a 12 p.m. game. You playing 11 p.m. game. And you like, yo, like, this ain't my normal time of playing because your body has already had a routine of doing those things. I think that was more weird than not necessarily having the fan component, but just playing at odd times, man. Like you playing at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's just different. So
yeah, that's a good.
Can you? I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but can you talk about like life in the bubble? Like what's it like? Because I know there was like a Twitter account that came out when the bubble first started, kind of just showing like all the horror stories. So can you kind of like give us an idea?
Nah, it wasn't my burner. I don't tweet too much unless it's about something that the Lord put on my heart. But I think it's all subject to every team. Like, when you get down there, man, like you don't know what to expect. Like I said, everybody was on edge. Some teams got there sooner than later. And, I don't know what was happening in them first days. Of course, I saw those burner accounts too. I saw some of the food that was being ate at the beginning. But, that wasn't our experience. I got to shout out to my team. They did everything that they were supposed to do. And I was talking to some dudes at the same time, like, this ain't it. That's the attitude they had. This ain't it. But, it was more subject on, like, for me, it was more about a mindset. When you get down there, this is what it is. Everybody signed up for this. When we had an agreement, the CBA and the league, you knew what this was before you got into it. So, like, for me, I'm like a little bit indifferent. Like, this is what you signed up for this to get this check. So, it was though, but it was just very awkward. Like I said, more or less like when you seen a team at the beginning, we was the only team in our like section of the hotel. So we didn't have to worry about nobody because we got there a little bit earlier. Then some of the teams start trickling in. Then you start seeing like if team A was in the elevator, you wouldn't even get in the elevator with them, period. Like, it was really on some real, like everybody was like, nah. And then like you would wait 2 like elevator trips before you even got on the elevator. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but people were very anti. You know what I mean? Like not touching buttons. They'll take the long way around a whole bunch of people. Like a lot of yelling. Like if I saw my boy Nagby, yo Nagby, I said 30 yards away. I give you the head nod. I think it was like a running joke. Black people been ahead of the game with all this no touching. It was a lot of head nodding. The new shake was I put my right foot out, you put your right foot out. That was like the dap, like yo, it's good. Right? We was finding different ways to communicate, but it just was different. I think what was tough was seeing the same environment, regardless of who you was, every day, waking up. See, and then it's cool to see like it was like a big AAU tournament, but it was after a while you're like, yo, I seen this cat yesterday, and I don't want to see this cat again. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was the toughest thing, really.
What about from a recreational standpoint? I know you mentioned like yard time, right? And like comparing you guys' bubble to the NBA bubble, and it seemed like it was a lot more luxurious over there. Like they had attractions and stuff to do and stuff like that. Like, did y'all have any of that on your side?
We did, but like at the same time, like you just don't want to touch it. I think theirs was more advertised and publicized. Like we had like cornhole, we had soccer golf, like or soccer pool, where you hit the 8 balls in and you hit all the balls. I mean, we had a lot of stuff, but it just wasn't like nobody really trying to take no chances, like from our standpoint. And I just think like, obviously, like I said, with 2 teams coming in with COVID, I think it was a little bit different for us. We every night they had like big blow ups where you could do like movie night. You can literally watch them from your room. Like all the amenities were there. Every floor, at least for our team, we had our own floor. We had a whole room designated to like. We actually had like Centipede, like the arcade, the big arcade games. We had everything in there. We got a lot of young cats on our team, so they wasn't doing nothing but playing Call of Duty and FIFA. So like all the amenities was there. I just don't think that like the interactive, like you see more interaction among teams there, and you see articles like Players Tribune and whatever, and they talking about seeing their boy like that. It just wasn't like that over in our bubble. I think everybody was, and I think that's what's helped MLS do a lot better than other leagues as well with the whole COVID cases. Like you see NFL, like we get it, you might want to be a boy or whatever, but they did a good job. Every team did a good job of really being like, nah, just stay with your group, stay with your tribe. It was like some camp counselor stuff like you stay with them, don't deviate.
Oh, that's hilarious. So y'all didn't have no wine clubs, no barbershops, and anything like that.
I mean, the barbershop, whoever can cut.
Whoever can cut.
And then you saw some cats. Bro, I'm trying to say, it might have been the 70s or 80s out there. You seen so many brothers with fros, mind trim ups. You know what I mean? It was real authentic. Like, I ain't let nobody cut my hair. I think what you did the so I ain't even with it. I'll wait till I get home when they open this up.
I'll be patient.
Yeah, I'll be patient because you saw some cats get butchered too. That low key. Now, I was like, nobody camera looking like that.
Man, they should have had Jalil out there chopping them.
He was.
Yeah, he was, but he was on the team that guy.
Oh yeah. So, I forgot about that.
We know who can cut. But a lot of the people who could cut had to get quarantined. So it was like, nah.
I forgot Nashville couldn't make it out.
Oh, that's funny.
Cool. All right, so let's switch gears up a little bit. Let's talk about the culture. Talk about Roc Nation. Jay-Z, you mentioned Ray earlier. All of these black like athletes becoming owners in teams, buying in ownership stakes, stuff like that. So really bringing the culture into the sport of soccer. And one thing that Roc Nation has been doing, if you guys aren't familiar, Roc Nation is owned by Jay-Z. They've been making a lot of moves in the soccer space. So through Roc Nation Sports, they've been signing a lot of the top players over in Europe. They got Lukaku, they got Kevin De Bruyne, they have Marcus Rashford, a lot of dudes on that side, a lot of high profile players on the agency roster. They've also begun to do strategic partnerships with various teams, kind of integrating that culture and using that brand cachet to expand the game in new markets. So earlier this year, they announced a partnership with AC Milan, and recently they announced a collaboration between AC Milan and the Paper Planes clothing brand, which is kind of a sub brand, a sub lifestyle brand of Roc Nation. Then also they replicated that partnership with Leeds United to help market the brand in the United States. So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on, Jay's moves and what he's doing with the beautiful game through Roc Nation. And do you think what he's doing from a marketing standpoint can help make the game a little bit more mainstream here in the States?
I'll go. Yeah, I definitely think so. I think it would be more beneficial if they want to grow it in the States to partner with like an MLS squad, or some American-based clubs. But obviously, there's still more money in European soccer. So Leeds, AC Milan, they have a more global impact. But what they're doing, combining culture and soccer together, that's what it's all about. That's what's been iconic over the years, as long as I've been alive, in terms of what's captured my mind from a soccer standpoint, whether it goes back to, the Nigeria jerseys or Ronaldinho and Jogo Bonito, the Cristiano Messi rivalry, the retro throwback jerseys, obviously FIFA having a role, music as well. This all helps grow the game, and I think Roc Nation can definitely do that.
Yeah, for me, I think it's very vital. And like I told you, I did my master's in integrated marketing communication. From a standpoint from what Jay-Z is already doing, you gotta look out some of the dots that he's connecting, right? So Milan is a fashion capital of the world. Number one, it grows his brand hand over hand. People who don't know about paper planes, now they know about it in Europe. They know who Jay-Z is as a mogul, but now that they associate the brand with the mogul. So not only that, when you begin to leverage the players that you mentioned, even like one of the original players was Bolte from Bayern Munich. When you begin to have people who have a resume, who have influence in these soccer spaces, they begin to be your mouthpieces for you, and they begin to be the walking, marketing moguls for your brand in general. I definitely think that there's going to be a space for if Roc Nation wants to buy a team in the U.S., but it's about the climate and or the team that they pick. I think he's very strategic in his partnerships, and I think part of the reason why he's doing these partnerships in Europe right now is because soccer is already a proven model of making money in Europe. Not necessarily so much in the U.S. first, and he's just and two, he's just building a Rolodex of people who he can have and that's already implemented it in these spaces. And then when they come to the U.S. and when he eventually does it, let's say he eventually does it, he's going to hit the ground running. Now, it's not so much of a project. He already knows X, Y, and Z. He already knows how to build the brand. He already knows how to do that. As you were talking about this, you see various actors too. I'm blanking his name. Dude just bought
the team in Wales, right? What's the name?
Now, and you see a lot of people.
I say Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool. We're gonna call him Deadpool right now.
Yeah.
But,
Ryan Reynolds, is that right?
Yeah, I think that might is. And you're seeing even other people in these spaces are doing it in Europe and taking sitcoms and building, associating their names with teams. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. To do spinoffs in different ways from this. But like I said, the market and wherever Roc Nation chooses to buy into is going to be vital too in America. But soccer is the fastest growing sport in America. So right now he's watching it boom. And we were talking about culture earlier. You see teams like ATL. You see teams like LAFC. You see even teams like us. Different people that they use in various spaces, like Freeway has association with Roc Nation. He's using all our advertisement for our pump up. He's on all of our messaging essentially. You look at ATL and LAFC, like I mentioned, even LA Galaxy trying to use Miguel. These people, these influencers. As soon as you get in the right market, man, number one, you expand also the audience and an audience that needs to be there, people who look like us. And I said, Jay-Z, you think it's strategic that he worked hand in hand with the NFL? He's just testing the climate of what he can do later on for any other business venture in the NBA. And he's already had his hand in the NBA, being the owner essentially as well.
No, respect. I think it's perfect timing as 2026 comes around and the World Cup comes here.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's lining it up, strategic moves. I see it.
For sure. And or 2026, I said this is the first time that you may even see some type of halftime performance. You think he's getting a feel from NFL? I said if it is in the U.S., you know what I mean? They win the bid, and I said this is the first time that you may see a full on week in week out performance at the various stadiums. Because Coachella, his platform title is the only platform right now that allows you to even view live concerts, but you can pay for it like you're there. So they can add this to the experience for fans for the World Cup if he gets his hand on something like that.
Man, you sound like you already might know some things. I know you've been doing some things.
Tapped in, man.
I know you've been doing some things behind the scenes in the in a couple of New York offices. You want to talk about that? Where
Yeah,
you see
man.
marketing is going?
Yeah, man. Right now, I'm currently doing a marketing internship within the club. You know, I thought it was very smart. You know, at this time, you know, a lot of places you couldn't move like you wanted to just because of COVID. But you know, this is the right opportunity the Lord presented where I learned actually a lot. There's one thing to do a degree, but actually doing editing, actually doing messaging, actually doing PR, and doing what they call kind of like a preliminary doc, you know, already have things in the wind before they're even published. Meeting and reaching out to people for different ads. You know, I think it's essential. But in the past, I've gotten the likes to do things at Bleachers Report on their social media side and just teach different people how to strategize and build their brand from that. You know, I mean, that was a remarkable feat in itself, and I've gotten to do things with Mitchell and Ness, the sporting goods company. I mean, you see a lot of rappers from back in the day, a lot of sports moguls wear the authentic jerseys, but just doing stuff with Spotify and helping them market and connect the dots with MLS. So just building strategy, but I mean, it's been good, man. I've learned how to build a lot of events. Like we were touching on the faith component. Essentially, we now have 2 nights out of the year, and we were going to expand it to 4 nights where there's an audience of level of engagement where fans want to have faith and family night after the game. So after the game, there's a prayer, there's a sermon. We talk about different things that are thrown at you and how you handle it in your faith. But you learn how to build out various programming as well. But that's all come from a collective what do you want to call it? Intelligence gathered from working in these various spaces. You know, you got to be proactive instead of reactive because I was always told you're one injury away, you're one cut away from a team. Then what? You know, you always got to have some type of resume to get going. And I've just been blessed to play the career that I had, but I say God's allotted me to have these various experiences as well.
No, respect. And I want to add an experience because I got mad when they did it, and it's no disrespect to anyone in the organization, but your Harvard experience, the crossover to business program. There's been 3 players from the Philadelphia Union family that have gone to do it. We only heard about one of them. Talk about your experience there. You were one of the first ones to do it. How was that? What did you learn? And yeah, that's it.
Well, first and foremost, I was talking about empowerment, right? You know, Moby actually put me onto it, and he did it. And sometimes, you know, like resources and opportunities aren't allotted to you, you know, so you got to give credit where credit's due. My experience was phenomenal because I actually had a head coach who allowed me to actually go during the season or I was able to attend live actual classes. My experience was also tough at the same time because it pushed me outside of my box to really think about different things or projects that I may have to handle from different points of views of people who are different sectors of business. You know, I think our professor, Alnita, was really impressed.
Yeah, Professor Anita.
Yeah, shout out to her. You know, she's a woman of many resources, but at the same time, the experience also opened up like a door of many different avenues and connections that I may not have had. Like I said, I want to thank Moby for even telling me about that. You know, sometimes people want to advertise what they want to advertise, but I actually had to have the full experience, be there on campus, attend extra classes, even after the whole preliminary week there, and it was encouraged, you know, because I was in such close proximity. You know, it was amazing. It was an amazing opportunity. I learned so much, my cohorts, but also the people, my advisors, the actual students who were graduating, they had so much knowledge, man. and they just really blessed me. Like, maybe you should think about this when you're constructing your next contract. Maybe you should look into investing into this portfolio. Hey, I'm going to connect you with so-and-so here in your city. Maybe you could do a giveaway with them. But it's just an ongoing conversation. I've never closed those doors since I went to Harvard Business School. So it was
No
amazing.
respect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I
you
want to pick
you
your
share so
brain.
many gems with me too. So mad respect.
Yeah.
Go ahead, El.
Yeah,
My bad.
I want to pick your marketing brain a little bit more. So the various marketing people that we have on the show, we always ask a question like, how would you raise the profile of the game in this country? Like, so what I usually say USL or NISA, but since you're in the MLS, how would you grow MLS's profile in the country?
I think number one, just various messaging to start off. Obviously MLS knows who their audience is, who their target audience is, but to really expand the growth to the likes of an NBA or NFL, they're gonna have to do some stuff that's outside of the box. We were just touching on this Jay-Z component. Sometimes they do things that's going to be safe and that's still going to be marketable and tangible for them to see a new growth in audience. But number one, streaming is right around the corner. How can they stream game with so many people not buying cable anymore, even though that they've done these major deals with the ESPN, did this deal with Univision, Telemundo? How can they start tapping into the streaming component for visibility purposes? Number one, not only in MLS but USL too. As you can see, like LAFC is sponsored by YouTube, so they already starting to create their own channel. So they could bypass MLS, but even though MLS is a single entity, they really can't do it. But in the future, if a team does a deal before entering the MLS, that may be one way to bypass all of that. So streaming is number one for visibility, but also gaining a new audience. I'm 30. We didn't grow up on the streaming, but this new wave of people, they watch everything on their phones. They watch, and there's a subscription for everything. So that's the first thing. The second thing also is being able to identify what works for your market. Like I said, for us, I think it would be smart for them to leverage a Kevin Hart, a Will Smith, identify, put them in that reign. Start giving them people who are visible, not just in certain demographics or communities or circles, but nationally known, who actually want to represent and actually want to put on for their cities. If they could reach them, I think that would be remarkable to show that soccer is diverse. Soccer is for everybody. They always have a lot of messaging, soccer for all, but you only see it from a Black person standpoint. You only see it one way. You may see it in the Spanish bilingual language that way, but how many people can you get involved? Like, I love what Miami's doing. Like, can you get a Ricky Martin down there? Can you get a J-Lo down there? Can you get an Alex Rodriguez? Get these cats involved. That's second. Getting a well-known name that the homes know, that the communities know, get them more involved and allow them to be the face of MLS as well. Let them push we talked about that earlier. Let them push the marketing itself. If Amobi's got 100,000 followers and I got 100,000 followers and we both are saying the same thing, then that's 200,000 people who may spread the message. And you're getting free advertising without even spending money. And then a third component in marketing is diversity and inclusion. When you start diversifying your portfolio at the top level, you start making it acceptable for everybody, and then they start feeling more comfortable. Not just from a soccer standpoint, but in the office space as well. Because now you're getting various thoughts, you're getting various you're getting to see things through different people's lenses that you may not have seen. We know who the commissioners are. We know what people look like who are in the front office, but they may be missing the mark essentially because they don't see it like other people do, or they don't hear the conversations that are in the Haitian community, in the Portuguese community. Especially with so many diverse cities now, you look at Texas, Austin's here. How are you going to market to that demographic down there? You can't keep the same messaging. Miami's here. That's a big twirling pot of people. New York has always been New York. They got different collections. How are you intriguing the Jamaican American population? How are you bringing these different demographics in? So from that standpoint, from the marketing, advertise that you have different demographics that are starting to work for you, that can reach out, that can touch these different places as well to grow your brand. So those are a couple. And then it's always exciting. The last point, you need another Freddie Adu. Something that's going to set well with, even if he's here for a short time, somebody who's going to set it on fire. Americans identify with Americans, especially in Major League Soccer. Even though it's the MLS soccer pool is starting to diversify, you're going to need someone who's going to be that face. Like you see it in basketball, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, we knew who the faces was. MJ, you knew who the face was. Can you out and out tell me right now who's the face of MLS? We just don't have that ultimate superstar. You got stars on teams. They may touch some people, but who is your out and out star? And they may know a couple of U.S. national team players, and that's no slight to them, but we just need that face. Like Zotlan was here for a while. People knew him. He brought a craze. When Beckham came, we knew who the face was. You see what I'm saying? We knew. But who's going to be that new face that's just going to take us over the top? When Kaká came, it was buzzing around Kaká. Everybody knew who he was, da-da-da-da. But now who's going to be that new face? Who's going to take us over the top that's going to constantly get us viewership?
Yeah, who is that?
Yeah, we should have had you on the last episode, man. You touching on a bunch of stuff we talked about
That was a whole marketing
on our
plan
last
right there.
episode. Yeah, for sure.
Man,
Man,
I'm gonna have to
I can
package
talk
that.
about this
That
stuff all day.
Yeah, you got L excited.
Yeah, I can
who
talk
is
about this
the-
all day.
Who is the marketing? Who? Carlos Vela right now? I mean, if you want the Mexican American population,
He's got it on lock, and like they said, they've seen jersey sales fly through the roof, and they've seen the level of engagement. But it's only in LA. He gets it per city that they go to, and I've experienced that with playing with Marco Fabian. I've seen the Mexican or Latino population pop up in stadiums they never popped up in. And I ain't seen that since Blanco when I was a Chicago Fire fan, just because I was from Indianapolis. He had Chicago a lot. You knew you had Hispanic and Spanish.
Yeah. He had the keys to the city.
But you know what I mean? Like, but besides that, then what? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's dry. It's bad for that. Yeah. I don't know.
One of our questions on the last episode was, who do you think can be that? I don't want to even put him like on the LeBron level, but who can be that Freddie Adu of American soccer? Like, who do you think has potential to kind of take that throne?
That's for L. So that's like last week we was discussing or the week before, my bad. Are they going to be in MLS or are they going to be like overseas? Like, what's that look like? So, are you talking about MLS or just American soccer in general?
Well, American soccer in general, but I feel like they probably have to play in MLS because it's something. But with Premier League being shown over here, you can see other leagues from the country, but I guess it's I don't know. I mean, I can't say MLS, but I think our biggest stars will probably be playing in Europe already.
For sure. I think that's why. Like you look at Brandon Aronson. Like I've watched his trajectory just from like a marketing standpoint, or just from like the outside looking in. Like going for a couple thousand followers to 20-something thousand followers, and then getting the label the Medford Messi because that's a town in New Jersey where he's from, and then seeing him grow leaps and bounds. I think it's going to be tough for them to do that just essentially because the model is now you look at Alphonso Davies, you look at Brendan Aronson, I think his name is Caden Clark on New York Red Bull now. These 17-year-olds, they make this splash real quick. These teams are trying to snatch them up so they can develop them quicker. I think that eventually in the future, MLS is going to be close to the likes of a Bundesliga or EPL where people are going to be wanting to come to MLS, but or players are going to want to be staying in their market and be like, you know what, I can make this type of money still at the same time, but also I'm playing at a high level. I think it's going to be a while for that. But I just mentioned a couple people that could be that person for the future. The young man off of New York Red Bull, but I feel like we got a lot of homegrowns too at the Union. Like I said, this young man Mark McKenzie. I mean, he's a center back, but he's lighting it up on offense and on defense. And like I said, he's not even a right-footed player, and he can hit the ball 60 yards, and he's on a lot of people's radar. But you also need a personality. Like when we were coming up, Dom Dwyer was kind of that personality too. I mean, he may not have been the most household name, but he would do stuff like
He's doing like the flips and stuff
flips, taking
on
selfies,
Thank
Discord.
you. Yeah,
stuff on
exactly.
some Ocho Cinco type stuff. You know what I mean? Like, let me get
Yeah.
your phone, let me take the photo. You haven't really gotten that guy since Kai Kamara, a Don Dwyer, who was a personality, Damo Duro,
Or legit Sebastian.
yeah, or Sebastian Latou. You know what I mean? Like, you still need somebody going to be that personality in the league. Like for a time, like we had a group of dudes that was called the Bash Brothers. They would just like try to bully you out in San Jose, but they were personality, you know. So,
So Ray, marketing expert, like, so I'm looking at B Aronson's Instagram right now, and great guy. I met him last year, great kid, but like, I'm not trying to see just soccer posts and pics of his girlfriend. So how does he get that personality out? You know?
I think he will. I think he will in the future. I think that like with anything, he's a humble dude, and he was just focused on trying to stay grounded with everything being thrown at him. You got to realize too, at the same time, everybody's different too. And I said right now, and I said when you stay true to yourself, and from a marketing standpoint, people resonate with you when they realize that's who you are too. You know, when you start doing things too that's not necessarily you, that starts to throw people a little bit off, but you got to realize too, it's the component of how old you are too. It was a lot thrown at him. Him going from USL to not even being on the first team. And I told him this. You can ask him. I said, man, it happens like this when you can get an opportunity. When you get it, take it. To not necessarily being featured, to being featured. Then your first start ever, you score in Atlanta. Then
Away, yeah.
now you buzzing. To now, wait a minute, Ray. Now everybody wanted to talk to me. Where he's a chill dude. He just likes to chill. He likes to chop it up.
And just play soccer.
Yeah, he just likes to play soccer. He's down to earth. You know, him and his brother, his family, they're real nice people. And then all this is being thrown at you in a year and a half span. Now you being sold. It's a lot to handle. And you trying to do school too. You know, I think he's trying to keep his profile and stay and do what's right. That's my expertise about Brendan. He just loves soccer. Like he's not one for the socials, and you're gonna find people like that too. Like he just want to ball out, and he likes soccer. He loves soccer, and he can talk about soccer all day, and that's just where he's at.
That's perfect. And if you love soccer and don't want to talk about anything else, that's great. But there's a way you could package that in your personality on social. Obviously, like you said, everything came fast and he wants to focus on the field. But moving forward, I think there's a way he could package that, show his personality, almost like kind of the Kawhi method. Like, yo, I'm not here for all that other stuff. Like, I'm on the field.
For sure.
So
Fun guy.
yeah. So
I think it's definitely gonna come with him because he's picking up German already very quickly. Like they've had some messaging. I think it's gonna come. I think he just was focused on everything in a win here for him because like you see that like even with Weston McKennie, like he wasn't really this person, but now he's more outgoing. Yeah, his platform has changed, and now you're seeing like also as you get older. Not necessarily your personality change, but your thought process. What I was thinking about when I was 14, I was watching Rocket Power. I was watching. It's not what I'm on now. So like as you go, you develop, and your personality begins to show itself not only on social media, but just even in your football. So I said you'll see more from him. I think.
No, facts. Yeah,
he's pretty funny, like low key, like y'all was saying. Like he loves his comedies. He loves me and him. Be talking about like Ricky Bobby. He loves all of that stuff. So like I'm surprised he knows as much as he does.
Yeah.
You gotta think the spectrum. I'm 30. He's 19. He's like, oh, me and my dad watched this movie. You know about this movie? I'm like, yeah, bro. I've been living before you've been living. You know.
Movie review Mondays. Now we know he likes movies. Perfect. You got to deal with Netflix.
And another factor that I would say is Adidas, Under Armour, Nike, they're all dropping the ball in the U.S. market. Like with Adidas having the league, I know it's not a U.S.-based company or a U.S. grounded company like Nike is, but taking these like they could have took I don't know who Brendan Aronson is signed with, but taking them while they're bubbling here in the States, riding that momentum, putting some money behind them, commercials, stuff like that, kind of getting them out on TV a little bit more, like I think that's another thing that's kind of lacking here, especially in MLS. Like those players aren't getting that marketing push, And I don't know if that's something with their team, with the players' personal team around them, like not pitching them to the right opportunities or what. But I think that's another thing that could really help catapult one of these guys to the forefront when it comes to an American soccer player having that star power or rising to that level.
I think you're exactly right. I think timing's everything. I think that they definitely have tried to do that, especially centering around the vote and especially around social injustice. I think that they did it in specified markets with certain players, just because I've seen it, with various people who have Puma or Nike, Adidas, and then some of these companies too. Like I said, they're they're such in a high stature, they don't want to drop the ball about their messaging too. And I think this time, literally, I think it was such a sensitive time that they were trying to make sure they did everything right. And with COVID, I think COVID's crippled a lot of that stuff. But you got to be creative, like you said, in-house marketing. One company that does great at that, and I ain't saying that just because we black, is Popeyes. Popeyes maximizes their profits by using number one, they tag the person. You seen the commercials where the guy sings, or you see the video of that old man talking about, this is so good. I mean, that's all organic, low budget marketing, but we all can resonate with them. Like, yo, that sandwich is fire, or that man talking about Popeyes. And then essentially, the most that they do is they tag the person who posted the video. So number one, they're giving them credit, but it's all about how you make the most of your marketing. I think a lot of times these companies want to do these high budget, thriller kind of commercial or tidbits to try to engage you. But sometimes it's the small thing. And like you said, you just have to find the means of doing it. I definitely think that they could have done more in marketing some of these players, or even this next wave, especially leading up to the World Cup. You might see more of it leading up to the World Cup in that space in time where they feel like they're going to get a greater level of engagement. But I'm with you with that.
Yeah, leading up to the World Cup, Nike needs to put money behind Pulisic. Adidas need to put money behind what's your boy Weston McKennie. Like, they need to blow these dudes up, man. Because I feel like this generation, this team that we have right now, can be the one that kind of like tips it off and like really sets us off with a really good run for the national team.
For sure.
So they just got to put the bread behind them.
Got to pay to play. That's what it is. Except when it comes to youth sports, you got not that, but when it comes to marketing, yep.
For sure. So, got a couple other miscellaneous topics. Before I get into that, though, I want to say shout out to Amobi for making that Forbes 30 for 30 list.
Oh,
yes, sir.
It's huge. Frugal athlete, putting it on the map. So, shout out to you, man. Give you your flowers.
Nah, man, good looks. It's all love. It's all love.
Yeah, them big audacious goals coming to life, man.
Oh yeah, so yeah, we just gotta keep pushing. So hopefully, we can get some love on 2Cents, love on Frugal Athlete, love on Ray's projects. Everyone's doing some great things. So, like Ray said earlier, people supporting people. Let's empower each other and keep it pushing.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, and also we want to give a special rest in peace to Diego Maradona, who passed recently. He's impacted the game tremendously, whether on the field or off the field. So what are some of you guys' like, I guess, best Maradona moments, if you have any?
I mean, for me, it's getting that first VHS where you learn how to do all the moves, or the World Cup's greatest goals, and you seeing this man dribble the length of the field, put Argentina on his back, falling as he scores. Obviously, they call it the hand of God. Seeing those, and even now in his ladder, seeing how much passion he would have when Boca Juniors would play, or him screaming. For him to be that old and so many people still love him, those are memorable moments as well.
Yeah, like for me, just understanding, like, hearing my dad talk about him, because we growing up, I having like, oh, that's my favorite player. He's like, oh, he's not touching Maradona, or Maradona would have done. So understanding like the importance he had on that generation, obviously his passion, not only like he's a saint in Argentina, he's a saint in Napoli, Boca Juniors, they got a whole box for him. Understanding that, it's just amazing to see. And I also want to take this time, RIP to Papa Diop, Senegal legend, took him to the World Cup. and when they surprised a bunch of teams. So someone else that's also a saint in Senegal. So the importance of soccer as a sport, these icons, they're more to life figures. So definitely rest in peace and respect to the impact they've had on multiple people. Have you all seen the documentary on HBO on
Yeah,
Maradona?
yeah,
No, I haven't gotten a chance to
yeah. I
watch
see
it.
Oh yeah,
it
you got to tap in, man. Game changer.
Definitely gonna
for
get that
sure.
one.
Speaking of impact, kind of a segue. The Montreal Impact are allegedly changing their name to Montreal FC. So, what are y'all reaction to that? Like, how you feel about that?
Why are they doing that? Is it like I feel like there's just no need. Montreal is cool in the sense they had like real culture. I don't want to say other teams didn't have culture, but French speaking, province fan base is like really good on occasion. Definitely they have Italian ties with the ownership and connection with Bologna. And then the history of Montreal Impact. That's like a team that's been around for quite some time. I don't think there's a reason to change it to Montreal FC, but I'm not part of that staff, so you know.
I
From a
Yeah.
think,
marketing perspective, right? I don't want you to get in trouble with the league.
nah, man, you ain't gonna get in trouble. I just think that, like what Moby said, I think they should have kept it as is, just from the history standpoint. And then, I mean, you're seeing a lot of rebranding of the old MLS face. You look at Houston. Houston's new emblem is still growing on me, and they renamed and redid their whole, logo, and they tried to do it beforehand too. And I just think that they're just trying to, refresh things and keep things new. I mean, I would have kept Montreal Impact the same. I mean, I think that essentially was a founding club, like of history of Canadian soccer, a well-known club. Like, it might confuse people a little bit with Montreal FC, but they should have kept it for me, you know. But I don't know.
Yeah,
This might be tied with Thierry, a new day and age. They might be tying all of this in together. So who knows? So
yeah. I don't know the reason for the rebrand, but I feel like it's just super generic and it's a little too what's the word? I don't want to say basic, but it's too easy.
Yeah,
Like they could have come with something better. Like I've seen like on Twitter, like Olympic Montreal was going around.
yeah, that would have
Like
been a vibe.
like it ties into the French culture as well as their Olympic history. You know what
The
I'm saying? Like I
stadium.
think that would have been perfect. Yeah. So I think that would have been a perfect if they went to rebrand like something like that. I feel like would have been a little bit more better suited than just a generic city with FC or FC with the city after.
right. I mean, that name might have been taken too. So we don't know. We don't know with the patents and stuff.
Yeah,
These are all things to really think about. But they definitely sound better than Montreal FC.
yeah.
So
But I mean, they probably got some money to buy it off them though. So.
maybe.
So speaking of that, speaking of teams rebranding, and then we also talked about ownership earlier in the show. We're starting to see a lot more U.S. based ownership over in Europe, or especially the lower league European teams. I know every time this comes up, we try to like touch on it on the show, so we kind of like got a U.S. investor watch when it comes to Europe. So recently, Tampa Bay Rays owner Randy Frankel bought AS Nancy Lorraine is in the French second division for 11 million.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, what are you guys thoughts? How do you guys feel about this? What are your thoughts on it? I know Moby, you touched on it a lot over our past episodes, but Ray, I want to get your thoughts on just like the overall U.S. investment over in Europe from a team perspective versus it not necessarily happening much here.
I think it's a future move. I think that in the future you may see, just like you touched on this may be a team that if Tampa Bay gets a team now, this is the big brother team, or a pipeline where players who may not be playing for that franchise, they may be able to come over stateside and play here on a year long. I said everything's done with the intention of having some other type of intention. That's something that I really gathered from like owners. Not only that, it's the end game. The Tampa Bay Rays, it may be a financial move for him. Tampa Bay Rays don't get that many fans. I think it's at Sunkist Stadium. I believe that's the name of the stadium. I enjoy watching all sports, but this may be able to offset some of that financial burden that's going on down in Tampa Bay for himself. I'm not the owner. I'm just speaking out loud. But also at the same time, this is allowing him, because Tampa Bay's put in the bid a couple of times to get it to get a new franchise. This may be his hand of learning what it's going to take, how to build a team, understanding the process to ultimately get them there. Or to get legislation to approve it and MLS to finally say, Tampa Bay, you've been awarded a franchise. And then because of his body of work, he can say, well, I dealt with X, Y, and Z. I know how to build a team. I know how to manage a franchise. The times that you didn't give it to me in the past, now you may give it to me. I mean, it may be strategic. I think that also it's essentially another play into this, just like you're starting to see the NFL go play over in England, and you're starting to see these English fans say, "Oh, I support the Miami Dolphins," or "I support so and so." This is a play to really try to build that brand of baseball too for himself, or do the cross cultural marketing. Like baseball is not that big over there. It's about cricket. It's about or it's about other games in Europe. I know it's in Italy. He may be trying to build a presence there to bring more insight to his American based businesses or ventures that he has here too. Just because I've seen it. I've seen a lot of franchises start to do that too. So I mean, that's my take on it. But I also think that we touched on this a little bit before about Jay-Z with AC Milan and Roc Nation. Soccer is booming right now. It's booming. Although it's not booming right now in the U.S., man, it's so much wealth in soccer and just different facets. Not even from the game side, from just like the profitability side, from like merchandising, from notoriety, being tied to the game. Soccer's booming right now. Everybody's seeing financial struggles across the board in the athletic department, but just in the world in general. But soccer is booming right now. This is the time to tap into these type of things where they need the money. Let me buy in right now where it's on the low. Right. That's also a play in
Yeah,
it too. And then looking to sell it for the end game. Let's say they get promoted. You know what I mean? Their first division. And then 11 mil. Now they're worth the 100,000, 100 mil or whatever. You see that all the time. You look at the Clippers franchise. They weren't worth a lot. And I mean, they had to sell it for various reasons, but the Clippers franchise is crazy now. I was looking at, I can't think of the number. It was like, this is not what the Clippers was worth when they was bought. So,
Steve Ballmer.
right, it's an in game possibly too for all of this as well.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. You got anything about that, Moby?
Nah, I mean, just being able to get in and own a team for 11 million compared to the 300 million for MLS. Obviously, I would love to see him just put 11 million into the USL squad out there, and then you can do some things with that.
For sure.
Maybe build that up, build out the community, build out the culture. Create like a factory of players that either you sell them on to MLS, you sell them to Europe. But like Ray said, there's other strategic reasons why he has invested in the second division. Once they get promoted, that's automatically return on investment. If they get up to Champions League, definitely, 2x, 3x, 5x is investment. So there's other strategic reasons. And obviously, a trip to go see your team in France, every now and then is not a bad life to live. So, but you would
For
love to
sure.
see American investors invest in American teams, but until, the cap's kind of open, there's going to still be business people trying to be business people when it comes to sports business.
For sure. For sure. That's it for this week, man.
Oh, we got one thing. We got one thing. I know.
Got one more.
Yeah. Ray got a connection. Obviously, Toronto's coach Greg Vanney, someone on a
Oh
personal
yeah, yeah,
level.
yeah.
He's leaving Toronto. Just decided to leave at the end of the season. I tweeted that it should be announced that he's going to go to LA Galaxy by the end of the week. Some people thought I was like had an official source. I don't have an official source. That's just what I would do if I was the LA GM and I was smart, because he went to UCLA, he played for Galaxy, and he's a good ass coach. So anyone listening or saw my tweet, that's not an official source. I just made that assumption.
I also seen that as well, publicized other places. I mean, he did attend UCLA, and like I said, I think he was at Galaxy for 7 seasons. So, I mean, MLS needs LA Galaxy to be at the forefront, and they need a resurgence. Fortunately, I think other clubs like to see them not do as well, just
Yeah.
because of history. But they need to be at the forefront of the league, and I mean, who knows? I mean, we know he ain't going to DC, but maybe, Chris Armas
Ooh.
Man,
is going out there.
Atlanta looking for a coach too. So,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he go to Atlanta. I don't think he would.
Nah, you going
yeah,
to
nah,
LA? He
we got to
already
go
got
South
that.
American.
Who coming into Toronto? Because I heard Ben Olsen might be considered for the job. And no disrespect to Ben Olsen, but that might, that's a little different.
Can we get some fresh faces though? I mean, this is just like the NFL, like revolving door coaches, man. Like,
But that's a different topic for a different day. We'll talk about coaching suppression. But I'll touch on it briefly. But like, okay, if you got a good coach who's coming out of college who's not on a scholarship, for to get your C license now is $1,000. To get your B license is $3,000. To get your A is $10,000. To get your pro, which is now the highest, it used to only be A. That's another $10,000. That person coming out of school or trying to come through the ranks, plus pay back the loans, plus pay for housing, plus pay for food, plus pay if you got a child. That's 24K before you even get into it if you haven't already been in a space where your club's going to pay for you are a former player. There's some good coaches out here in the USL level that could be in the MLS. There's some good assistants who just haven't necessarily got their name called yet. I call it coaches suppression. There's a lot of loopholes that people don't know that you need or credentials you need to be in these spaces to be these coaches. And then when you know that you need them, sometimes you don't necessarily have the financial means to be a coach. It's not that you can't coach, but you need these credentials. You need that verification.
Right.
So then once you get that verification, somebody who does already have it, they may be appointed to the position. And then at the same time, you see this in any sport. When a coach comes in, he brings people who he's familiar with.
He trusts, yeah.
Right. So you don't see that. You don't see that revolving door, new faces in here as much in the U.S. It's only like that in soccer. You'll see transition in basketball. You see it in NFL. People get the opportunity, but soccer, you need so much certification. You need so many. So that's just a tidbit, a quick tidbit.
No, that's a good point you made. It's going to start getting me mad because they're going to start doing it where you need a certification just to be a GM and just finding ways to keep people in their positions. And like you said, you come out of school, you're trying to be a coach. Not only do you got to pay that, then you got to wait for your opportunity. I couldn't be a coach. The only coaching I'm doing is my kids' youth teams. Because after being a pro for so long and trying to move around, you got to wait. Nah, you might get fired. I'm not doing all that.
But you already seen this with Rich Paul, because Rich Paul started to control the market. Look it up. So now they tried to put stipulations on him about being
an agent.
So I said, you see this, how the game works. And that's a different story for a different day, but I'm just.
But we've had these conversations before offline too, right? So don't get me started. Yeah, you're right. So we're gonna wait. We're gonna have to bring you back.
Yeah, we're gonna bring you back. We're gonna circle back on that one.
Yes, sir.
Nah, but Ray, good looks are coming on, man. I know you're busy off season. Where can the people find you if they want to connect? I know you do your offline devotionals from time to time. I know you got your marketing stuff that you do on the side, stealth mode. Where can people connect with you if they want to link?
I mean, first and foremost, someone tell you an L. Thank you guys for having me. Much love to 2Cents, football athlete again. J Lad for hooking up the podcast, man, mics as well. But you can find me on social media at Ray Gaddis, just simply at Ray Gaddis. Be on the lookout for Gaddis Guidance coming soon. Just different spaces where we can help guide you to better things.
I need that Ray Gaddis devotional yearly plan, please.
Oh, for sure, man. We hopefully gonna get that in the works if it's the Lord's will in 2021 or in the future. But I just want to say big ups to you guys for all that you're doing. This is a great podcast as well. Great show.
Nah, respect,
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, so that's our show for this week. Subscribe, rate, and review. It helps us get discovered. Thanks again to Ray Gaddis, one of my best friends in the soccer game. Great podcast. You guys are going to enjoy that. Follow us on the socials at 2Cents FC. Check out our merch at 2centsports.shop. As you can see, I'm finally rocking the gear.
Finally
I got the hat.
him some.
I got the merch. I got the apparel. I'm good. Winter season's approaching. Protect your hoodies. It helps support the show. Tweet us your comments on the show or any topics you want me or El to discuss. As you guys know, every Friday, unfiltered thoughts on soccer.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace.